Hello, class. My name is Carlos Barrera, and I'm going to be presenting the elicitation technique, apprenticing. Apprenticing involves you, the analyst, learning and performing current tasks under the instruction and supervision of an experienced user to get a deeper knowledge of the product during apprenticing. With this technique, implicit knowledge can be transferred from one person, the master or teacher, to another, to the apprentice or yourself. Um, to put it in lame terms, is basically asking someone for help that has the skills that you need, right? How to apprentice? Apprenticing is fairly simple. You sit along with someone that is experienced in the field, ask questions about what they're doing, record their actions, simulate their actions, ask more questions, learn what they're doing, understand how the system works. This has a lot of benefits. For one, and one of the biggest, is that the teacher, or better known as the master, doesn't need to be a teacher. He just needs to be someone that is skilled. And because you're having this interaction with them, you can learn from them even though they don't have the best techniques on how to teach. Um, Another great skill from apprenticing is that you can learn skills from a master that the master doesn't know that he has, or that you can't gain from a book. Is the subtle skills that the master has gained from years of experience and knowledge. Shortcuts, things that you might not even know that you should be looking for. It also helps to visualize things because you have a master there that's actually working on the project with you. You can see it, how the project's going to develop, how your skills are going to develop. One of the nice sides of apprenticing is it also gives you increment. When you have someone there, it's easier to make mistakes because they're there to stop you, to guide you. They say that practice makes perfect, but in reality, perfect practice makes perfect. So you don't want to get into bad habits, and your master can be there to guide you into good habits and not creating little ticks that could hurt you later on in the development of the program. A master can also give you information that you didn't even know you should know. They could guide you to really research in better ways. But apprenticing also has its downsides because you're having interaction with another person. You tend to take a little bit longer to learn, or take more time to acquire the skills that you want to acquire them to the fullest. This can sometimes waste time, and if you're wasting time or even spending time, you also need to remember that you're getting help from another person. And at the end, tends to be more expensive than other techniques because you're not only using up your time, but you're also using someone else's time, and you never know how much the other person is going to charge you. I think it also depends on the technicality of your skill, the difficultness of your skill. If it takes props and just going out of your way to learn the skill, asking for help could be quite costly. Um, Another thing is the skills that you're gathering might not be the best skills due to the fact that there's no immersion. If your master only gives you almost homework or does like mock skills, your skills might not flourish. So a good example, let's say you have to build something for a fast food joint, right? And your master is just a manager and he teaches you of what a fast food worker has to do. But he teaches you late nights when things aren't really heavy, not as chaotic, right? And then you create some software that takes its time to choose, it takes its time to do things that you want it to. But in a real setting, fast food tends to be really chaotic, very fast. And then your skills and the data that you collected don't simulate the actual skills that a fast food worker has acquired. Another issue is the skills of your master. If your master is mediocre, well, the data that you're going to collect or the skills you're going to collect are going to be mediocre. Another issue is yourself. If you're not a good student, like I said before, and you have a bad master, well, it's just going to be bad all around because the master might have issues describing the finer things, things that you might not even know to look for because they're so subtle. And if you're not a good teacher, you're not a good student, and you don't learn by just looking, and you don't ask questions, and you struggle paying attention, maybe apprenticing might not be the best thing. And at the end, apprenticing sometimes can be excessive. A new skill could be acquired by just going online and Googling, YouTubing, getting a book, or just asking for tips, not actually asking for someone to show you the trait, you know? That's why my recommendations for apprenticing, it should only be used when a skill is very complex, a skill has finer, you know, little things that you need to learn, or you have no clue where to start. You know, if you already Googled it, you've already rented books, and or the skill that you might acquire, that you want to acquire, is a subset of a bigger skill, so you don't even know what skill you need to acquire, then that would be a good time to ask for help from a master, and become an apprentice and be in an apprenticeship, right? If you think that apprenticeships might be a little bit too easy or not necessary, always look at other types of techniques. You know, sometimes apprenticing, or not sometimes, apprenticing should never be the first technique you use, because you might gain all the knowledge you need by using other techniques like workshops, observing, or protocol analysis. You know, sometimes just reading, you know, what fast food workers need to use might be enough. You don't need to maybe learn all their skills, right? To collect data for a project, I went on a apprenticeship from an accountant friend. I don't have any prior experience with debt. I've only been really good at saving money. That's about it. Going to school. I've never invested money, so I went and talked to an accountant, and he helped me collect some formulas that might be useful for a project. Like compound interest formula, it helps you visualize how your interest is going to compound. And again, compound interest formula for interest paid n times a year. So when you pay for when your compound basically compounds multiple times a year, I know, mouthful. He also gave me the savings plan formula for regular payments. So let's say you have a 401k and you want to see how it's going to develop. This formula would be fairly helpful. Your annual return, that's kind of given. And a loan payment formula. I think that's one of the most helpful formulas I gathered, because it helps you see how much your payment's going to impact. Let's say you have a $10,000 debt and you only want to pay $100 a month. Maybe that's not enough, you know? Maybe your bank is just kind of messing you over. And then with this payment, if your debt is $10,000, it would be more appropriate if you paid 200 or 300, or even if you paid, 350, you might cut down the years of your debt by 2, 3, 4 years, right? So this is a very useful formula that I believe will be very helpful for our project. But at the end of it all, even apprenticing was kind of overkill for me. Apprenticing, I could have looked up the formulas online. I could have seen how to alleviate debt online. There's always tips, tricks, videos. I don't know. Another issue with apprenticing, like I said, teachers. I don't know a lot of people that are in debt or use debt alleviation programs. So just asking an accountant what to do was basically my best shot to get the data that I gathered. But in the end, I still believe that another technique would have been useful. But this doesn't mean that useful. There are skills that take time, or are skills that are a little more difficult to acquire. Personal example, I'm interested in machine learning. Sometimes it's easier to have someone guide you how to become a machine learner. They're just reading articles on Google that might not be the best or the most credible, right? And that might be a good set. Well, that was my example, and hopefully you enjoyed this presentation and you learned something new. And have a good day. Bye-bye.